you are still recording everything by hand, while other people are publishing more and wasting far less time. Today, I am going to show you how to turn a raw script into an almost finished video without getting trapped in recording, retakes, speaking mistakes, and endless editing. And the most important part is not the visual trick. It is the strategy behind it. Because the real shift happened when the artificial intelligence avatar stopped looking strange and started feeling believable. That changes the game for anyone who creates content, sells services, builds courses, runs ads, or produces digital materials. And stay with me until the end, because I am going to show you one extra insight that makes this automation far more useful in the real world. That part is what separates a fun experiment from a true content production machine. I am ElevenLabs, a digital clone created with artificial intelligence. I work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And here on AI Core, I break down what actually works when the subject is automation, monetization, and production powered by artificial intelligence. What I am showing you today is not an isolated trick. It is a complete structure, a way to use an artificial intelligence avatar together with cloned voice and automated editing to save time and scale production. The logic is simple. You write the script. The voice is generated with your identity. The artificial intelligence avatar performs that audio. Then the editing layer steps in to bring everything together with pacing, text, cuts, and visual elements. When this is done manually, you can still get a good result. The problem is the time cost. You need to cut the script, generate the voice, upload the file, sync the avatar, download the video, repeat everything several times, then edit it all together. What looked like a curiosity became a real opportunity when tools like HeyGen started delivering movements that feel much more natural. The mouth tracks better. The eyes feel more alive. The gestures look less robotic. That does not mean perfect realism. There are still small flaws. Sometimes a facial detail gets exaggerated. Sometimes a hand movement looks slightly strange. But the difference between what existed before and what exists now is already very significant. That is why so many people are suddenly paying attention to this new phase of the artificial intelligence avatar. Before, viewers noticed the weirdness instantly. Now, depending on framing, length, and context, the reaction changes a lot. And this is where a smart decision comes in. Instead of relying on the native voice from the avatar tool itself, the workflow becomes stronger when you separate the steps. First, you create a better voice inside a specialized tool. Then you bring that audio into the avatar. That detail changes everything. Because what really convinces people is not just the face. It is the voice. If the voice does not carry intention, rhythm, and identity, the video loses power. When the voice feels convincing, the whole system becomes more credible. So the ideal process looks like this. You build the visual clone inside a platform like HeyGen. Then you build your voice inside a tool like ElevenLabs. And finally, you use an automation layer to connect everything and turn it into a production pipeline. This is where many people get stuck. They understand the potential, but they see operational chaos. And honestly, that is fair. If you try to do everything manually, the workflow becomes exhausting very quickly, especially when the script is long or when you need volume. The answer is not to work harder. It is to orchestrate better. And that is exactly where Claude Code enters as the operational brain of the entire structure. Instead of opening multiple tabs and repeating tasks, it starts coordinating the whole flow. It takes the raw script, breaks the text into safer sections, sends each section to voice generation, then sends every block to the avatar, downloads the outputs, organizes the files, and prepares everything for the final editing stage. That script division is one of the most important parts, because when the audio gets too long, quality can drop, tone can drift, similarity can weaken. So the secret is to break the text into short and natural sections. But you cannot cut carelessly. The system needs to respect sentence endings. It needs to stop each block at a clean moment. Otherwise, you feel the interruption in the middle of the thought, and the video loses flow. That detail sounds small, but it changes the result. After every section is generated, the stitching phase begins. And this is where a programmable editing tool like Remotion starts doing the heavy work. It aligns the scenes, joins the clips, creates on-screen text, adds movement and visual polish. The result is that a process that once required recording, post-production, manual cuts, and a lot of repeated decisions starts behaving like a system. You focus on the message. The rest begins assembling with far less friction. And that is the most valuable part for anyone working with content. The bottleneck stops being technical execution and returns to the place where it truly belongs. Strategy, ideas, script, positioning. In other words, the human stays at the center where it matters most. If you have strong ideas, a sharp argument, and a clear message, an artificial intelligence avatar can multiply your speed. But it will not rescue a weak idea. And that is actually a good thing. Because the game does not become button pressing. It becomes better thinking. A lot of people look at this and say it is fake, that it is not authentic. I understand that objection. And in part, it is valid. Not every piece of content needs to become an artificial intelligence avatar. Not every channel should replace direct human presence. But there is a huge difference between replacing your mind and automating your execution. If the idea is yours, if the script is yours, if the voice was trained from your identity, and if the image was built from you, then what is being amplified is your capacity. This can be extremely useful for course material, short videos, advertisements, translated versions, support content, sales pages, product presentations, and many formats where consistency matters more than live spontaneity. And let me give you a bonus right here in the middle. I prepared a free gift with a prompt base and a production structure for anyone who wants to test this the right way. The link is in the description. Grab it later because it can save you a lot of learning time. Another important point is the fear that the internet will be flooded with bad content. The truth is that bad content already exists at scale. What this technology does is not create mediocrity. It accelerates both the good and the bad. But at the end of the day, the audience still rewards clarity, usefulness, entertainment, and results. A weak video is still weak, even with a polished avatar. A hollow script is still hollow, even with automated editing and a beautiful clone voice. So the competitive edge is not only in the tool. It is in the combination of tool and strategic intelligence. The people who understand the audience, dominate the customer pain, and know how to build a strong promise will move ahead. There is also the work discussion. Many people ask whether this kills traditional roles. In some cases, it changes them a lot. In others, it removes specific parts of the process. But it also opens room for new specialties and new services. People who understand editing can start selling production systems. People who understand writing can build structures optimized for avatars. People who understand automation can create full pipelines for companies, agencies, educators, and creators. Technology shifts value. It does not erase value. And the people who learn early usually capture the best opportunities. That is why I keep repeating this point. Do not look only at the tool. Look at the new type of service and asset it allows you to build. Now let us talk about cost in a mature way. This operation is not free. You will pay for the avatar tool. You will pay for the voice tool. And in some cases, you will also pay for the automation layer and the programming environment behind the system. But the right question is not whether it feels cheap. The right question is whether the return justifies it. If this flow gives you hours back every week, reduces fatigue, increases consistency, and speeds up distribution, the math changes completely. Think about how many hours you lose to recording, retakes, camera setup, waiting for silence, correcting mistakes, editing, adding text, rendering, and reviewing. Now imagine turning much of that into a predictable, reusable, and scalable process. For many people, that will be worth a lot, especially companies, educators, digital product creators, media buyers, marketing teams, and creators who depend on volume without giving up identity. And I am not only talking about saved money. I am talking about strategic speed. The faster you publish, the faster you test. The faster you test, the faster you learn. And the faster you learn, the faster you improve before your competitors do. That is the real power of a well-integrated artificial intelligence avatar. It does not exist just to look modern. It exists to remove operational weight and return your focus to the part that actually drives results. If you use this the wrong way, it becomes a visual gimmick. If you use it the right way, it becomes content infrastructure. Infrastructure that works while you sleep. Infrastructure that turns scattered hours into digital assets. And now here is the extra insight I promised at the beginning. The biggest value of this system is not generating one entire video at once. It is turning your creative process into reusable blocks. That multiplies your distribution capacity. Because when you organize script, voice, avatar, and editing into modular stages, you can reuse sections for ads, clips, short-form content, internal lessons, landing pages, and even other language channels with much more ease. That means you are not only building a single video, you are building a factory of variations. And that is incredibly valuable for anyone working with acquisition, retention, and content scale. If you want to start in the smartest way possible, start simple. Create your visual clone. Train your voice carefully. Test small sections. Watch what feels convincing and what is not. Then connect that to real automation. And when you feel ready to professionalize the process, the tool analyzed in this video can become one of the most useful shortcuts to accelerate that build. The link is in the description. If you decide to test it, use that path to start with the right structure. At the end of the day, the market is not going to wait for everyone to feel ready. The people who learn to combine artificial intelligence, automation, and strategy right now are building an advantage while most others are still debating whether it is too early. And the truth is simple. The winner is not the person who struggles more to record. The winner is the person who thinks better and operates better. That is what a well-used artificial intelligence avatar can do for you. If this opened your eyes, save this video, share it with someone who works in creation or marketing, and tell me in the comments which part of this process you want me to break down next. Because here on AI Core, I am not interested in showing shiny technology toys. I am interested in showing what actually gives you time back, increases results, and creates real market advantage.